In this lesson, we're going to look at how to multiply brackets with negative numbers. Before we do that, we'll just remind ourselves of how to multiply numbers by negative numbers and negative numbers by other negative numbers. Now, these rules at the side really help us. If we, for example, look at the top rule, a positive number multiplied by a negative number will always give you a negative answer. And if you're good at your times tables, that's all you have to remember. So for example, if we take negative 3 here and we multiply it by 4, then if you're taking that number there and multiplying it by 4, you end up with this, negative 12. And the same idea here, if you take the 4 and you multiply it by negative 2, if you go down here, you get negative 8. And if you take the 4 again and multiply it by negative 1, you get this answer here, negative 4. Same idea, if we take 3 and multiply it by negative 3, we get this answer here of negative 9. So a positive number times a negative always gives you a negative answer. And it makes sense if that works, then if you take negative 3 and multiply it by 2, you also get a negative answer. So the opposite happens. So basically any time you multiply when the signs are different, you'll get a negative answer. Now, this is where you get positive numbers, when you multiply negative numbers by negative numbers. So if you look at negative 2, for example, and we multiply it by negative 3, if you draw a line down, you see you get to 6 across. So negative 2 times negative 3 is plus 6. Negative 2 times negative 2, if we go down here, you can see that's directed to 4. So negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. And you can see negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. So when the signs are the same, you get a positive answer. As I say, if you remember all this, it's just a case of doing your times tables. So let's try and apply this to brackets. So, in the first example here, I'm multiplying the bracket a plus 3 by negative 4. So we still do the same thing, we multiply negative 4 by a. Now that's a negative times a plus a, so that's going to be negative 4a. Negative times a positive gives you negative. If we treat this here as a plus 3, because there's a plus in front of it, and you're times them by negative 4, so that gives us negative 12. Now we just write that as take away 12, but it's really plus negative 12 there, but just write it like that. Okay, on to the next one. Negative 3 times x, that's a negative times a positive, which is negative 3x. And negative 3 times positive 7, just write it as a takeaway. It's the easiest way to do it. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. And in this case, we've got negative 5 times negative y. That's the way you look at this. That's a negative y. And that's going to give you a plus 10. Sorry, a plus 5y. Same idea here. Negative 2 times positive 2p. That's going to be negative 4p. And then we've got a negative 2. And again, treat this as negative q. So that's a negative times a negative, that's going to give you a plus 2q. Now, we can also multiply 3 terms by a number in front. So if we look at this, we've got 3 times a plus 16 times b, sorry, 6 times 3, which is 18b, plus 3 times 2, which is 6. Same idea here, 2 times 2 is 4c, 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, so take away 6t, and 2 times t is 2t. So let's have a look what happens when there's a negative in front. It's the same idea. Negative 4 times plus 2x is negative 8x. Negative 4 times plus 5y is negative 20y. negative 4 times negative 3z is plus 12z.